Right then, welcome back. And today, well, today we're going to do a setup for this. The original super sports bike, the 1985 GSX-R750. Now, when these came out, they were like spaceships. They were unlike pretty much anything anyone had ever seen before, and Suzuki went straight to the top of everybody's Christmas list, and everybody wanted a GSX-R750, affectionately known as the slab side. But we won't waste any time talking about that. We're going to get straight on to the racers, and as per usual, we started at UMC Outer, and this bike has a stability problem. Above 135 miles an hour, it starts to wobble and wobble, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And here's a shot from lap 2 on board. Watch the bars, here we go, and it just keeps going and going and going and going, to the point where it actually starts to slow the bike down. Yes, we get annihilated by the ZR1400, but pretty much everything does. But yeah, very, very, very interesting at high speeds, and when the front tyre is a little bit cold as well. When the front tyre warms up, it seems to stop for some strange reason. But anyway, bike itself, not bad at all for a, well, 85, 95, 05 for what? A nearly 40-year-old bike. It's actually not too bad. It's quite quick, it's good on the brakes. Engine braking doesn't seem to upset it too much. I run it on engine braking 2 for pretty much every single race, even in the wet, and it doesn't really seem to bother it. I ran anti-wheelie 1/0, normally on 1, just to stop it flipping over backwards. And yeah, it's got a short wheelbase. The centre of gravity is reasonably high because it's running big, massive, round 18-inch wheels and not particularly fat tyres. And yeah, we ended up, end of lap 1 onto lap 2. Look at the wobble, it's not good. You would know about that if you were on it. I know that much. You would need to go and see the dentist for some new fillings. But yeah, we ended up going round the outside of the ZZR and out-dragging it up to the little complex at turn 5 where it's left. And lap 3 again, down the main straight, we're just getting a bit of a wobble on. Yeah, it's not, I mean, I say it stops when the tyre gets warm. It doesn't get any better. It just seems to take a little bit longer before it starts. And we never really got close to the lead there. We're warming the front tyre up a bit more than the rear. We're struggling for power. We're up against F4s and ZZRs and all sorts. It's a 40-year-old GSX-R750. It's not got a massive amount of punch. So we went to Cadwell. We went to Cadwell Woodlands for a bit of fun, and I added 1 click to the front spring, front rebound, front compression, and I took 1 click off the rear spring, rear rebound and rear compression. Put my teeth in. What it did was it transferred a little bit more weight rearwards, so we got a little bit more wheelies off the start. And Cadwell Woodlands on reasonably fast bikes is just absolute carnage. Banging elbows, pushing and shoving, and I completely missed the braking point at the bottom hairpin on lap 2, so we had to go again. And then we got a little bit of shenanigans, not loads, just a little bit, just to annoy me. So we went again, we got off to a reasonable start, we ended up in 3rd, and I was worried by doing a click on the front and taking a click off the back. Oh, hello, she's a bit lively over the mountain. I was worried that we'd made it a little bit too rear biased and it wasn't going to turn in quite as snappily as it did before, but it jumps well, it likes overtaking people in the air, and actually it went better than I was expecting it. Like I say, for an older bike, it's not running massive tyres. Edge grip when you're on max lean is quite limited. That's why the back end of the bike seems to be stepping out quite a lot, and we're running quite a soft spring as well, which doesn't help. But we'll come to that on the pros and cons. And you know what, it went alright. We'd set a reasonable time. It would have been inside the top 30 on the leaderboards. Next up was Alton. We didn't really make any changes. We had a right ding dong here. This was, out of all of them, this was probably the best race. Massive wheelie off the start. There's all sorts of people banging fairings and elbows. How we stayed on, I'm not quite sure. And we come out of the melee and we end up in 7th. And on the brakes, that extra click on the front end just gives it so much confidence when you're on the brakes into a corner. Yes, it was a little bit rough and tumble, but no penalty, no foul. There's the lack of edge grip again, rearing its head. All the way, tried to get all the way around the outside of the Kawasaki into Druids, couldn't do it, so we used a bit of hip and shoulder and just encouraged them off the racing line. And then lap 3, we finally caught the leaders. What a braking move that was. The Ducati gets a bit better drive, comes back up the outside of us, and then is there a touch, is there not a touch? Well, the stewards are a little bit undecided, but what we will do, we'll have another look at it. Look at that on the brakes, fantastic, slides it in, bit of rear brake, run a bit wide, and then the Ducati's back underneath us, and we're just going to slow it down. And Speedy, to be honest, buddy, I can't see any evidence of a touch there. I just think the Ducati rider bowled it and went off for a little sit down with the marshals and a sandwich and a cup of tea. But yeah, so we ended up in second, and we're chasing down a hedge abuser. What are my chances of catching a hedge abuser? Well, I thought they were alright, because I got an awesome exit out of Druids, too good, and ended up nearly running the back of them. Had to move across to the right, and then that was it then. They put the afterburners on and basically went and vanished into the distance. I tried to outbrake them and just left it a bit late. Again, it's sideways on the way in, and it was so close. I mean, you're going to get a couple of fag packets through there. It's not as close as it's ever been in the whole history of bike racing, but it was close enough, and we both stayed on and they ended up finishing second. So karma came back round. The Ducati rider got a sandwich and a cup of tea, and I finished second, but it is what it is. And then I thought, right, we need to push this front end. We need to work out where it is. I need to work out what it wants and what it likes. We made no changes after UMC, by the way. So we went to Tsukuba. We're up against all sorts of stuff. Hyper Motards, F4s, MV Augustas, like some seriously naughty bits of kit on a, well, 37-year-old motorcycle. And yeah, it was hard work. It was really hard work. We managed to squeak, and I mean squeak, up into second on lap 2 at the hairpin, and I thought we're never catching the German rider out front, and you know what, we never got anywhere near. Absolutely never got anywhere near. I was hoping they were going to bottle it and fold the front around the last turn on the last lap, but they never did. So yeah, another, I mean, it was alright, it was an entertaining race to do. I mean, it's hard avoiding rewinds, but yeah, it's satisfying when you manage to get it done. Then I thought we've not been to Okayama Piper for a while, so I went to Okayama. Again, off the start it's quite good, but look at the bikes we're up against. CBR 600s, Brutalis, F4s, just a little bit of everything. And I forgot completely how to go around this corner on the first attempt, and we ended up a little bit on the curb, pulled a bit of a wheelie, and then we go for a little lay down in the grass. So we went again, and knowledge is experience, and experience equals quickness, so we were a little bit faster through there. And this one, we really did push the front tyre. This track is massively front ending. Nearly every corner is more than 90 degrees. You're really pushing the front. Some of them are uphill as well, so you can really lean on the edge of that front tyre. But you'll see as you get on the gas, it just wants to step sideways. You've got to be careful. You've got to make sure that you just stand the bike up a little bit before you get on the gas. So end of lap 1, there's a bit of banging and barging, and this was an absolute pleasure. Excuse me, boys, coming through. Straight through the middle into second, and the chase was on. I think it's a Rivali or a Dragster, I can't remember which one it is, but it's definitely a big old fat MV. And I was so close through that like sequence of corners, the right and then the left, but I just thought, nah, I'll outbrake them. I'll outbrake them into here, and I'll put my bike where they want to be and just park it on the apex. And that's what we did, and we got past, but we were cooking that front tyre. That front tyre is getting warmer and warmer and warmer. So yeah, I was just a bit wary. I thought, do I add another click? But if I had another click, I was scared it was going to upset the balance of the bike. It was in quite a nice place. We weren't getting a massive amount of penalties. We weren't running wide, weren't really having many issues. It's an old bike. Not everything's going to go like a 2019 Fireblade. So yeah, it is what it is. Last one then. Kanto South in the wet. I wasn't really expecting it to be able to do it. And we'd avoided mass amounts of carnage until this point, but now the carnage started. It was a quick bike in the wet. The front end is very grippy, so you find yourself running into the backs of riders, into the corners. Massive wheelie off the line again. I really should start on anti-wheelie 2 and knock it down to anti-wheelie 1. But yeah, it was scrappy. It was really scrappy. It didn't have the power, it didn't have a massive amount of edge grip, so it was all about trying to make ground up on the brakes and then stand the bike up. I mean, you can see it there fighting. It just wants to snap sideways, not in a good way, not in a boogie way neither. It wants to snap sideways, and you're getting off this and we're having to sit down. But yeah, we ended up 5th, quarter of the way around the first lap, and then the lack of power down the straight was evident. But then we managed to get a good run through the little chicane. And then it was all about the brakes and all about the front end. And again, we've made no changes since UMC. Into here on the brakes, I mean, look at that. I'm just going to park it as close to that apex as I can. There you go, mate. You go and have a little look at that white line out there, and we're all good. I'm up to seconds. And then the chase was on because we're chasing a Japanese rider in Japan. The closest I got was this into turn, is it turn 9? Yeah, turn 9 and turn 10. That's it. That's as close as I got. They're on a Brutale and I got nowhere near, but as a bike to ride in the wet, it was actually okay. Again, please remember it's the best part of 40 years old, so the old girl deserves a bit of slack. And that's where we ended up setup-wise. A little bit of Honda, a little bit of Suzuki, a little bit of Yamaha, and that's what we've got for pros and cons. So, pros, good front end, yes, on the brakes, turning in, it is good, but the back end can't keep up with it. It builds front heat well. It does build front heat well, really well, to the point where you may have to add the click onto the front spring rate just to control it. And it does respond to changes. Some older bikes don't. Some older bikes, it doesn't matter what you do, you make changes and they just ride exactly the same. This doesn't do that. It does respond to changes. Cons, it has a stability problem. Yes, it does have a stability problem. I don't think we can cure that, bar throwing a longer swing arm in and giving it a bit more stability. It's slow. It is slow, but it's old. It's not slow, but I mean, we were hitting what? We were in 23rd at UMC, 27th at Cadwell, 15th at Alton, 46th at Tsukuba, 20th at Okayama. I did go again at Okayama and ended up 5th on a hard soft. And then Kanto South, we ended up 23rd in the wet. So it's all right. I mean, it's S769, so it's almost at the top end of that 799 group, but it just doesn't have the pace for that. A well set up street triple or CBR6 or R6 can absolutely murder it all day long. Just got more grip. The chassis is better, it's got more grip. And like I said, poor edge grip, skinny tyres, especially the rear. The front end's not far away from a modern tyre, but the rear is nowhere near. It just hasn't got the edge grip. So when you get on the gas, it snaps sideways. You could counter that with a harder rear spring or a click on preload to limit your lean angle, but then you're altering the dynamics of the bike. So it's whatever you enjoy. Obviously, give it a go. If you use it, let me know how you get on. And yeah, there you go. That's another one done. What's up next? Ooh, we are doing... It's the RC30. The RC30 is the next the next endurance race at Nürburgring Sprint. We've also got a cheeky little 4-hour race coming as well. That's processing as we speak. So when that's processed, I'll get that out. And then we're going to do the setup for the RC213 VS Honda Unobtainium, because someone requested that. I know it's a couple of weeks back, I apologise, but that's what we're going to do. But yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting, liking, subscribing. You're all absolute heroes and heroines, and fingers crossed I will see you next time. Take care, stay safe, peace.